The United Nations Secretary General, Mr. KiMoon, has promised to reignite the campaign of the Bring Back Our Girls group throughout its member nations for the quick rescue of the Chibok girls. Mr. Ban, who met with the leadership of the group, Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili, told them that the rescue of the girls also topped the agenda of his visit, and he'd follow through to equip the military to achieve his mission. Our correspondent Gloria Umezuke reports.
July 2014 marked 180 days since the Chibok girls were last kidnapped, and then the UN Secretary General sent a message via Skype to the Bring Back Our Girls group. But today he was here in person to see the leadership of the group and brought fresh hope over the rescue of the girls.
UN Secretary General stated that he has raised the matter consistently since his arrival into Nigeria, and that the UN will continue to make this a priority issue and to galvanize support to finding the girls and rescuing them. He stated that the multinational task force is very important with the Nigerian leadership and with the new vista, the vista of opportunity we have to completely revamp the approach at tackling Boko Haram, that he hopes that our government will succeed alongside the other governments.
In 3 days, the Bring Back Our Girls group will be marking 500 days since Boko Haram kidnapped over 200 schoolgirls. The government's position is that it is doing all it can to rescue the Chibok girls, but the troops and other security agencies have faced extraordinary challenges. The BBOG group has heard several assurances, but members of the group insist more action must be carried out by the military.
Right now, words are not sufficient. We really need the action that gives result. And, what we see clearly is that with the 3 months timeline that the government has laid out for the security team, we are hoping that that would amount tangibly to the rescue of not just our Chibok girls, but all other abducted victims of Boko Haram, and the decimation of the capacity of Boko Haram to terrorize our nation any further. So we want results.
In the days ahead after his visit, Nigerians will remember the missing girls with perhaps more hope than before of their return. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The President has ordered a probe into the purchase of arms and other hardware for the military in the last 8 years. To this effect, President Muhammadu Buhari directed the National Security Advisor to convene an investigative committee on the procurement of hardware in the armed forces since 2007. According to a statement from the presidency, the committee's mandate is to identify irregularities and make recommendations for streamlining the procurement process in the armed forces. The 12-member committee is headed by Air Vice Marshal John Ode. The senior special advisor to the president on media, Femi Adesina, says, quote, "The committee will specifically investigate allegations of non-adherence to the correct equipment procurement procedures and the exclusion of relevant logistic branches from arms and procurement under past administrations, which very often resulted in the acquisition of substandard and unserviceable equipment." End of quote. Now, the former National Security Advisor to President Goodluck Jonathan, Colonel Mohammed Dasuki, has been charged to court for the possession of firearms without a license. In a statement released this evening, the DSS says this is in line with the commitment of the service to the rule of law, in which nobody is deemed to be above the law, no matter how highly placed in the society. Now recall that on July the 16th, 2015, the Department of State Services had carried out a search operation on properties belonging to Colonel Dasuki in Abuja and Sokoto. At that time, the DSS said their action was born out of credible intelligence linking him to acts capable of undermining national security. The search operation led to the recovery of a cache of arms and ammunition, among other things, and for which further investigations were conducted. Well, the All Progressives Congress has lauded service chiefs for being at the forefront of the renewed fight against Boko Haram. In a statement, the National Publicity Secretary, Lai Mohammed, said the reports that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, and the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, personally coordinating their troops in the insurgency is the best news to have emerged in recent times. The party says, quote, "There can be no bigger boost to the morale of the troops than the sight of their service chiefs personally leading the charge from one village to another battling the insurgents. By their actions, Lieutenant General Buratai and Air Marshal Abubakar have shown that they care deeply for their troops and are determined to lead them to beat the deadline set by the President to end the Boko Haram insurgency," end of quote. The APC described the service chiefs and the troops as a pride to the military while calling on Nigerians to continue to support their efforts. In the meantime, officers and ratings of the Nigerian Navy in the Lagos area have been charged to do all it takes to effectively protect the country's waterways, as anything contrary to this is betrayal of the confidence reposed on them. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibas, stated this at his maiden meeting with members of the force as part of his familiarization tour since assumption of duty. He also said the Nigerian Navy was capable of delivering on its constitutional responsibilities. To some legal matters, where the Judicial Commission of Inquiry set up by the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike to probe the administration of former Governor Chibok Amechi has begun its sitting today at the Chief Judge's Court in Port Harcourt. The Justice George Omegari Commission of Inquiry is expected to probe the alleged sale of state assets by the past administration, as well as invite former commissioners and officials in Mr. Amechi's cabinet to explain their role in the financial administration of the state. Meanwhile, former Governor Amechi has been explaining his reservations over the ongoing probe. In a statement issued by his media officer, Mr. David Yofo, the governor reiterated that he is not afraid of a fair and decent probe or investigation of his administration and would cooperate and support such inquiry as much as it's done within the ambit of the law. Meanwhile, the chairman of the panel has promised that the panel will be fair to all and will not witch hunt anyone. All right, now Anne Wawood will be joining us shortly when we return for some business news.
You first. First Bank.
Hello, welcome to Business News. Officials of the Debt Management Office have said that 22 state governments indicated interest for the transition from bank loans to federal government bonds restructuring as at August the 19th. Addressing newsmen in Abuja, the Director General of the Debt Management Office, Dr. Abraham Nwakwo, said so far only 11 states have submitted their documentation to fast-track the process as at August the 14th. Dr. Nwakwo listed benefits of the restructuring exercise to include improving banks' balance sheets and enhancing liquidity in the nation's financial system. Total loans to the 11 states involved in the first phase of the restructuring exercise is put at 322 billion naira. Now, despite strong economic headwinds and inflationary pressure, the economy saw the faster rate of growth since December 2014 as Business Economics shows headline sales manager index rose from 65.2 points in July to 63.66.3 this month. A look at the 5 components of the SMI shows Business Confidence Index, which measures how sales managers expect the economy to perform over the next few months, registered 93.4, up from its value in the month of July, while Market Growth Index rose to 63.3, at its highest reading since December 2014, pointing to faster market expansions across most industry sectors. The first trading session of the week ended bearish as some market movers pulled down the index by 2.22%, closing the NSE All-Share Index at 29,214.13. Harriet Agbenyi tells us more. Bearish trading characterized the first session of the week at the equities market as losses posted by some market movers pulled down the index by 2.22%. The NSE All-Share Index closed at 29,214.13 with a market capitalization of listed stocks on the main board down to 10.01 trillion naira. 46 stocks led by Seplat, Dangote Cement and Total Nigeria were the laggards for the day. Seplat closed at 233 naira for kobo. Dangote Cement finished at 170 naira and Total Nigeria ended the session at 152 naira. Forte Oil, Flour Mills of Nigeria and WAPCO were the top three prize gainers. Zenith Bank was the most traded as investors exchanged 75.75 million units, followed by Axis Bank with 46.48 million units and UBA with 21.50 million units. At the end of the session, in 4,247 deals, investors exchanged 257.73 million shares for 2.77 billion naira. Those are the day's trading figures. I'm Harriet Agbenyi. Well, thanks a lot, Harriet. Well, most major equities around the globe ended in the negative territory today. Let's see some of those figures now. Well, that's it on Business News. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Ijoma will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
You first. First Bank.
Now, as part of its corporate social responsibility, the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited is constructing a multi-million naira engineering laboratory at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Inspecting the construction site at the university, the Deputy Managing Director of NLNG, Mr. Issa Inua, said the project, which costs about 320 million naira, is part of the company's efforts at improving education standards.
The University of Nigeria, Nsukka, plays host to the team from the Ace Gas Company, NLNG. They have come to see how much work has been done with the construction of an engineering laboratory initiated by the company. But first, a session is held with the university management and the project contractor and consultants. After the meeting, the delegation takes a facility tour of the ongoing construction site of the engineering laboratory. NLNG's corporate social responsibility portfolio spans through education, healthcare, infrastructure, enterprise, and capacity development across the country. But amongst all, the company considers education as a special focus area, which is under the NLNG University Support Program.
This is part of our corporate social responsibility program. Under the University Support Program, we are spending about 2 billion naira to provide engineering, laboratories, equipment, etc.
Satisfied with the work done so far, Mr. Inua asks the contractor to speed up the pace of work to enable them deliver the project to the university.
We are satisfied, and most importantly, we are assured by the level of commitment that we have seen from the university administration.
The Vice Chancellor of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Professor Benjamin Ozumba, appreciates the NLNG for citing the state-of-the-art project in the school. For him, it'll go a long way towards enhancing research and development.
University of Nigeria is going to put good use this excellent center by Liquefied Natural Gas Establishment of Nigeria for engineering. So I'm delighted because I know it's going to take us places.
Under her university support program, the NLNG has earmarked 2 billion naira to be spent on the construction of modern engineering laboratories equipped with cutting-edge equipment in 6 universities across the country.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria Table Tennis Federation unveils German technical advisor Martin Adamite to lead team to the All Africa Games. So that will be on sports. Do stay with us.